5 laps remain, and something behind the scenes has just shifted. This change could shape how the entire championship unfolds. A fresh FIA rule is about to be enforced, targeting one of the trickiest parts of car design this season. Quiet discussions, subtle advantages, and technical hints have all built up to this moment. From the outside, it might seem small, but those close to the sport know exactly which team is about to be hit the hardest. The big question is, did Red Bull manage to get the FIA to remove McLaren's strongest tool without physically touching the car? When the FIA acts in such a sudden and focused way, it usually means one team was pushing the boundaries too far. McLaren's recent performance boost wasn't only due to upgrades or driver skills. Behind closed doors, rival teams were keeping a close eye on something else: the way McLaren's front wing behaved. At lower speeds, the wing looked solid and unchanging. But once the car reached around 300 km/h, the wing moved slightly, just enough to matter. This small movement cut down on drag, smoothed out airflow, and allowed McLaren to maintain balance through corners at all speeds without sacrificing setup. It was a clever advantage. Red Bull claimed they had seen similar tricks in past years with other teams' rear wings and floors. The idea was always to design a part that passes official FIA checks when the car is still, but changes shape subtly at high speeds where those checks don't apply. It's a tricky gray area where legality and performance overlap just enough to gain an edge on race day. McLaren's innovation first caught attention during the early races in China. Right from the Miami race, alarm bells started ringing loud. While Red Bull was struggling to keep their car balanced and tires in shape, McLaren seemed solid and steady. Thermal images showed their tires staying unusually consistent on both front and rear, which caught the attention of Red Bull's engineers. They began examining slow-motion footage of McLaren's front wing and noticed something clear. The outer parts of the wing tilted backwards as the car sped up from 80 km/h to 325 km/h. The change was subtle, but definitely there. This meant the wing wasn't rigid. It was actively changing shape to improve performance. Red Bull gathered proof and quietly approached the FIA. They didn't file a formal complaint because they didn't need to. A few key images and a request for clarification were enough. The FIA responded by updating the testing rules before the Spanish Grand Prix. From now on, the front wing wouldn't just face vertical pressure tests, but also twisting and turning forces designed to catch wings that flex when air pushes against them, but stay stiff during standard checks. This new test directly targets McLaren's wing, and they know it. Starting in Barcelona, their current wing design, which helped secure several podium finishes, will no longer pass inspection. They'll have to scrap or redesign it, and it's not just the wing that's affected. Other aerodynamic parts like barge boards, floor edges, and brake ducts are all tuned around that wing's unique behavior. This means a big shift for McLaren's whole aerodynamic setup. The advantage they had by letting the wing move at speed allowed them to run a more aggressive setup elsewhere: stiffer suspension, narrower tires, without losing control. Without this flex, McLaren faces new challenges. Losing that flexible wing means McLaren's car will behave more like the rest of the field. They'll likely face problems with understeer when entering corners, and the car's balance at high speeds will be less predictable. Tire temperatures could rise faster during a stint, and brake balance adjustments will become necessary. Overall, the car's sensitivity to changes like fuel load and track conditions will increase, tightening the setup window and raising the risk of mistakes. Multiple insiders say McLaren's aerodynamic team spent a lot of effort this season on designing parts that could flex in controlled ways. They didn't just aim for speed, they engineered the car to take advantage of controlled movements. The carbon layers, the internal structure of the wing, and the mounting points were all carefully designed to bend under airflow, but still meet FIA's official tests. Now, with the new rules, all that work might go to waste. Red Bull, however, has been through this before. They understand what it feels like to lose an edge when regulations change. From engine rules in 2014 to floor restrictions in 2021 and ride height limits in 2023, Red Bull has always managed to adjust and use the rulebook strategically. This time, they didn't beat McLaren on the track, but rather in discussions with the FIA. And this could have a big impact on the championship fight. Before heading to Spain, McLaren looked like serious contenders. With Piastri's steady performances and Norris's growing confidence, their momentum felt real. But losing the flexible wing could wipe out that advantage, at least for now. Every team has to adjust to rule changes, but some face bigger hurdles than others. McLaren's gains were tightly linked to their wing design and overall aerodynamic approach. Their 2025 car was built around the idea that air pressure could reshape parts of the car while racing, improving performance. Without this, McLaren's package feels more exposed. On the other hand, Red Bull has tended to use more traditional front wing designs. Their parts flex less, and their car's aerodynamic load paths are easier to predict, meaning the new FIA rule affects them less. This gives them an edge going forward. Formula One is full of these blurry areas. The FIA has a duty to clarify when designs stretch the rules too far. If a part acts against the spirit of the regulations, the FIA has to step in. Just 2 days before the new rule, Christian Horner's comments about the car's behavior seemed more than a coincidence. Red Bull had been losing ground to McLaren in races with high tire wear, watching Norris and Piastri pull away in corners where Red Bull used to lead. Their championship advantage was shrinking, but now they're fighting back. McLaren isn't the only team affected, although they're the main focus. Other teams like Aston Martin and Mercedes had begun testing similar wing designs, but McLaren was the first to perfect it, and now they face the consequences. When asked about the new rules, McLaren's team principal Andrea Stella stayed diplomatic. He said they always work within the rules and will adapt if the FIA wants more clarity. But changing isn't quick or easy. New wing designs need fresh simulations, testing, driver feedback, and that process takes time. Losing even a fraction of a second per lap can drop a team from pole position to the second row. That difference is enough to lose clean air, get caught in traffic, overheat tires, and potentially end a championship run. That's exactly what Red Bull is counting on. They didn't push for this rule change out of fairness. They saw it as the fastest way to get back on top. And so far, it seems to be working. What happens next is what makes this situation even more interesting. If McLaren manages to create a new wing design that still passes the updated tests but keeps some flexibility, then the competition will heat up again. Every top team will chase that advantage, pushing the FIA to tighten the rules even further. In the past, these back-and-forth changes have turned the title fight into a battle over interpretations of the rules rather than just on-track speed. The real question becomes, where does clever engineering end and rule-bending begin? These lines are rarely clear and often influenced by teams' lobbying, engineers' creativity, media pressure, and quiet talks after races. McLaren played their cards well, but Red Bull played them better this time. Now, as the season moves into its summer phase, we'll see how one of the quickest cars on the grid adapts to the new reality. The Spanish Grand Prix will give the first sign of what's to come, but the full effects will take longer to appear. Will McLaren fall back in the pack? Will Red Bull pull ahead? Or has McLaren already started working on their next solution? In a season this close, a small change in carbon fiber flex might end up deciding the championship. Regardless of how you feel about the FIA stepping in, one thing is clear. This title battle just became very personal. So what's your take? Did Red Bull outmaneuver McLaren off the track, or is this just another chapter in Formula One's ongoing rule struggles? Share your thoughts in the comments below.